The Podcasting Dead is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Make sure to subscribe for more podcasts. And while you're at it, drop us a like. If you want to help support the channel and have access to extra content, secret contests, and more, make sure to search for us on Patreon. Patreon.com/thepodcastingdead.
Welcome to the Monday Walking Dead podcast. Not that we have a crazy amount to talk about with The Walking Dead, just in the sense of normally at this time we'd be talking about an episode, but nonetheless we are going to discuss a little bit about the finale, kind of our hopes, predictions, things like that. I'm Justin.
Hey, I'm JP.
And we're The Podcasting Dead. We podcast about a little bit of everything. Make sure to check out our channel. Give us a subscribe, if nothing else, a like on this podcast. Helps us out a ton. And for extra bonus podcasts that are a little bit more behind the scenes, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/thepodcastingdead. I know the intro guy said it, but I just had to reinforce it. Anyways, here we are, back to talking about The Walking Dead. And JP, I don't know about you, man, but there's been like this hole in my heart the last 2 Sunday nights.
It's weird, man. Like, The Walking Dead's left us with cliffhangers before. We're never really happy about it, but this is like the cliffhanger of a cliffhanger. I don't know, man. It's a strange
And it
spot to be
sucks. It's
in.
not their fault.
From what I haven't seen anything so far announcing an official release date for the season finale, so I think we're still in limbo. I know everything else has got pushed back, so yeah, it's just a strange place to be in.
It is. I was reading an article from Forbes that was published last night, actually not too many hours ago. We're actually, it's pretty early where we are, so this is an early Monday morning podcast. But from what I'm seeing, a lot of people still don't know the date, and this would have been like what, the second episid of A World Beyond,
yeah, man.
Or would it have been a premiere, because it's been 2 weeks without The Walking Dead.
Last week would have been the premiere, I think. And I think I think you're right. This would have been the second episode last night,
because we were basically
talking about it this morning.
Yeah, you basically had The Walking Dead finale and then The World Beyond. Or no, actually, it would have just been the premiere last night, right? Because it's been 2 weekends without The Walking Dead, if I remember correctly. 2 weekends.
I thought I read they were going to premiere on the 13th, but that could be hearsay.
You could be. I don't know. I'm getting my days all mixed up.
We'd be talking about The World Beyond one way or the other. We'd be talking about it right now. Talk about like the worst case.
The 13th would have been on Monday.
You've ever had. Ugh.
You know what? I think you're right. I'm getting all twisted up. It's just I can't keep up with the shit. But the 13th, by the way, is a Monday. So it would have been the 12th. But yeah, no, I don't know, man. We would be talking about A World Beyond right now, and and then I was actually watching, and I understand why The Walking Dead pushed production back, because you got to think about it, man. This is these last few episodes, lots of CGI, huge horde of zombies. Oh, yeah. Probably takes it. I appreciate that they probably thought, well, we could half-ass it, but that could ruin the show. I mean, right. The Walking Dead, in our opinion, I think. Well, I don't want to speak for you, but I think that we do agree is really bounced back and become a fantastic show again, something we look forward to seeing. And the last thing they need, though, is something for critics to just rip apart. You know what I'm saying?
And just an opportunity for people to lose interest. I mean, a lot of people have jumped ship as it is, and now some of the people that are still kind of on the fence, they're hanging in there, but they're, I mean, this is a good way to lose viewers,
Oh, yeah, that's all we need is another episode for the critics to just trash, and then for the people. Because you got so many people, and we know several people like this who don't really. Their opinion of a show depends on what they read, like what critics they follow. Their opinion of a show is never really their opinion. It's whatever they can regurgitate from whoever their favorite critic is, or whatever site they follow. So, yeah, I don't mind. I really would rather than, honestly, my opinion, and yours may differ, and that's fine. I would rather them take their time to make sure that we get a great, nice, polished product than to just throw some half-assed crap out there and just give itself, another jump the shark moment.
Yeah, same here, man. I definitely don't want to see a subpar season finale. We've got those before, and it wasn't even due to bad production. It was just, Scott Gimple. But anyway, yeah. Hopefully it'll be worth the wait. I feel like it will be, man.
There's so much, and that's what we're going to talk about, getting into the finale, talking about what we think is going to happen, what we want to see. So first off, JP, give me one thing that you think is going to happen in the season 10 finale.
Well, I hope to see another naked Negan scene. He's got fantastic side butt, but Other than that, man, I definitely want like a concrete, resolute ending to the Whisperer War. You know what I'm saying? Obviously we got to see that Beta Negan throwdown. That's something we need to see. Got to happen.
I think that we are definitely going to see Father Gabriel meet his end.
Yeah, I don't think
similar fashion to comics. Now, I don't want to spoil that, so if you hadn't read the comics, you can Google that if you want to know. But I think that Father G is going to die, and if not, someone is going to take his place, and they're going to die in a horrific fashion.
Yeah, but I think it should be Father Gabriel, though.
You know, we had a comment from a listener a few weeks back that asked, who did we think would take Andrea's comic death? And, I really think that they're building for it to be Rosita.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
But she's got a baby, man. Like, leave her alive for Coco. I feel like, we've got Sadiq's gone. Mm-hmm. Father Gabriel, I feel like, is about to be gone. Eugene's off searching for another, lady at the moment. Poor Rosita. I mean, she's already raising this baby alone. Let's not kill her. And then, and I'm sure like Eugene might raise the baby in honor of her or something to that effect. But still, I feel like we're heading, and I don't think that we'll see that necessarily in the finale, but I do think that we're headed towards a Rosita getting Andrea's comic death. Again, won't spoil it too much for those of you that hadn't read the comics, but I feel like that's kind of how it's going to go.
Yeah, if not Rosita, I mean, I guess they could put Magna in that role, but I mean,
I want to feel bad. I don't. Yeah. If Magna died, I wouldn't really be all that butthurt.
It definitely wouldn't have the same like emotional draw that Rosita would. And plus, I mean, Magna hadn't even been around long enough for us to really even get to know her, like talking about.
No, and she's been in a shitty mood half the time that she's been on screen. I think that honestly, and you know what's bad though, like even though I don't want them to leave Coco, if they did that, though, it really could be something special. Like with Rosita, she's been on the show since season 4.
Yep.
So, gosh, been on there for a long time now. She's become a staple. She's really gotten some screen time as of late, gotten to really show what a badass she is. We love her. And I really could see Andrea's comic death being a fitting end for her.
Yeah, I think that would be the perfect way to send her off, man. Just going out like a boss.
There's time to say goodbye. Or what about Carol?
Yeah, I mean, I think the scenario we set up like last Monday, would be the best way to take her out. But nonetheless, if they did go another route, I think that'd be a good way to take her off.
A lot of people had good points saying that it wouldn't be Daryl and Carol, it'd be Daryl and Negan. Which is really, really makes a lot of sense when you compare the Rick-Dwight relationship.
Who's holding the gun?
All right, so spoilers for the Walking Dead comics. I know we've been avoiding them, but we're big fans of the comics, so it's really hard for us to not bring it up at some point. Yeah. So you've been warned. You got like a minute. Come back. It would be Daryl holding the gun.
What?
Because think about it. All right, White and Rick. Yeah. They had once been enemies, then became allies, and weren't the best of friends. And, with the whole Sherry fiasco, Rick wasn't the best friend to Dwight at the time. But that makes a lot of sense because Daryl's never going to fully accept Negan. Mm-hmm. Negan's never going to be one of Daryl's, he's never going to take Rick's spot for Daryl. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's never going to be someone that Daryl will ever fully trust, I don't think. Daryl might let him do his thing, but I don't think Daryl will ever want to be friends with this guy. Yeah. So that makes sense. But it would be kind of tragic because I think he's going to grow on us, and then Daryl will have to do that.
Oh man, I don't.
That makes sense. I think that the listeners are right. I think that's far more likely to happen than the Daryl and Carol situation. But if Carol was going to die, I feel like if it wasn't going to be Rosita, that Carol would get Andrea's comic death because all right. So part of Andrea's comic death, again, slight spoilers, not completely going to go into it, but is how heartbroken Rick was. Mm-hmm. And there was time to say goodbye, and just it was very tragic and, not drawn out in a bad way, but it wasn't like, over and quick, really. It was. So who would that be? If Carol was going to die in that way, you could pass that role to either Daryl or not Father Gabriel, to King Ezekiel.
Yeah, that would make sense. That would definitely make sense.
And it would be a fitting into a character who's been in there since the beginning. It'd be time to say goodbye. In the course of this podcast, have switched my opinion. I thought Rosita was going to get Andrea's death, but alas, now, no, I think it's going to be Carol. Maybe even during the Whisperer War, or the conclusion of it, this big horde, maybe she'll get bit saving some people.
Yeah, that would be that'd be a real heart-jerking moment, man. It really would be.
Yes, I've changed my opinion. Not Rosita. If I could erase all of this and go back for the last 10 minutes, I would erase all of it. But I'm not. But I change it. I think it's going to be Carol.
That'd be up there with Herschel getting his head cut off, man. That'd be crazy.
We need that. We need one of those sad, because I mean, memorable deaths are memorable for being brutal. But we also need that death that just yanks our heart out. We haven't had one in a while. I think Carl probably would be the last death I can think of that just hit me in the emotions. To which again, I'm with you. It's like, it did hit me in the emotions, but not really, because it was such a stupid way to kill off a character that I was finally starting to like.
Yeah, the most memorable deaths are either memorable because they're super heart-wrenching and really tragic and unexpected, and then there's the deaths that are super memorable because they're just so out of left field and stupid and poorly executed.
Yep.
And Carl's definitely on that list.
Absolutely. And I mean, you've got some that, it's funny too, because in my book, you've got like... another type of death that's remembered is how brutal it is. Mm-hmm. You got some that are heart-wrenching in the sense of watching a beloved character die, and then you got some where you had like, you got some that are just so brutal. It's not that so much. I know this makes me sound like the worst Walking Dead fan ever. Everybody Hates Chris. What was his character name in the
Noah?
In the show, Noah. Exactly. Sorry. Like Noah, I did like the character, and I would have liked to have seen where he could go. I thought he was I liked him. I thought he was a good addition to the show. I hate that he died, but the thing is, when he died, it wasn't so much that I was sad. I hadn't really had time to get emotionally connected to him in the way that I had like Tyrese or Herschel. But his death was so brutal, you'll just never forget it, And it's like, and then they find that sweet spot in the middle where they take a beloved character and they give them a brutal death, like Herschel. Getting decapitated by the governor. Just number one, what a sweet old man Herschel is, and then it made me so mad, man. Like I was furious. Like if I could have went through the TV and put a bullet in the governor's head, I'd have done it in a heartbeat. Because I remember like I posted it because I was so mad. I was like, I'm done with this show. I'm done with it. Screw The Walking Dead. And I remember posting the next day on Facebook or Twitter or something about how angry I had been the night before. And that tells you when you've got a good show or a good written episode, because when you get that emotional into it, you've really connected with this character, which means there's been some good writing there. Mm-hmm. So kudos to The Walking Dead for, creating something that had me yelling at a fictional character.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. We need that heart-wrenching, just sad death. But with Carol, I think it would be fitting if she got Andrea's comic book death.
Yeah, that could definitely happen on the season finale, man. It would make sense in a lot of ways.
Yep. So we'll see.
Man, I'm still wrapping my head around Daryl shooting Negan at the very end of the series.
That makes more sense. That makes more sense than the Daryl and Carol. If you go to that part of the comic and you look at the Rick and Dwight dynamic, I'm not saying they're identical, but there is much more room. Because it's like the more I thought about that when I said it, I do think that would be a great moment if it was, Daryl and Carol, because it would just be heart-wrenching. And, but I don't think Daryl would ever do that. I don't think that Daryl would ever kill Carol.
Just pop her in the head.
Not ever. Don't think it would happen. Who would Daryl kill, even if it was reluctantly? Negan. So I don't think that. I think that the listeners are right. I could see that being Negan and Daryl.
It's the ultimate irony. I mean, he kills Negan to stop Negan from killing Pamela, which in the past Daryl's always been the one flying off half cocked. He punches Negan, gets Glenn killed. He rams that car into the sanctuary. During All Out War, goes against Rick's orders, tries to help Maggie, dethrone or whatever they were going to do to Rick.
Yeah.
And now he's the one, making the hard choice, being the voice of reason. Well, not the voice of reason, I guess the bullet of reason. But
part of me wants to be like, It almost sounds like you'd be able to say Negan would have to kill Daryl for going off all half-cocked. But I think that everything Daryl's been through will help him to see that that's not the approach in this scenario.
And if Negan killed Daryl, I mean, they'd have his head on a pike, and like the people, of Alexandria would not stand for that. Nobody would.
Yeah.
Carol, man, somebody would take him out. He'd never get by with that.
Yeah, so I definitely think I could see that. I think our listeners, man, that's what we always say. We're not experts on the Walking Dead. So if you've ever got any input or any theories, man, throw them in the comments section. We love to discuss them because that's all we wanted to accomplish with this podcast, was just to have discussions about a show that we loved so much. There's plenty of great channels out there that do presentations and countdowns and top blah, 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 and we do that occasionally. But the majority of what we like to accomplish is just because that's how it started. Was JP and I used to be on another podcast together, and after that was over, we'd sit and talk about The Walking Dead for an hour, and finally we're like, you want to do like a podcast about it? Mm-hmm. And, so please, I think that is an awesome theory, the Daryl Negan taking the place of Rick and Dwight. It would be tragic. It'd be sad because Negan's one of the best things going on The Walking Dead right now.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
It's amazing how Jeffrey Dean Morgan just kind of steps onto the screen and all eyes on him,
Yeah, and if they do that, at least it would be like the last season, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, I could see that being one of the last episodes.
Oh, it'd have to be, no doubt.
But I don't know, man. I'm really curious, and maybe, again, if you, the listener, have seen where they've speculated on this. Because I know Jeffrey Dean Morgan said, he could see like 3 more seasons, like, before this season started.
Yeah, I think he said something like that.
And I'm very curious as to how they're going to go about it. Do they plan to go past the comics? Because the comics were very abrupt. I mean, the comics, we were getting into this whole Commonwealth thing, man, and then you just have this one moment that I won't talk about, just because I know we've said no spoilers and then kind of went into spoilers, but this is something that's just, I'm not going to talk about unless we specifically set aside time to do it. But then this one really big thing happened, and you're like, holy shit. And then the next episode was it. Well, no, there was one episode past that, and then it was it. So like this holy shit thing happens. Then there's one issue past that, and then the next issue is the end of the series without any announcing anything. So I'm curious as to, because getting to the Commonwealth, the comic readers have to kind of be thinking like, wow, we were kind of getting to the end here.
Yeah, man. That killed me, man. You know how much I hate spoilers, and I had that last issue spoiled for me, not what happens, but just that it was going to be the last issue, because I have the Key Collector app. And it like The Walking Dead, that issue was on the hot list, and it was just like unexpected, double-sized finale issue. And I'm just like, oh.
And it's like, in hindsight, I can appreciate why Robert Kirkman did that. I mean, I understand his thought process behind it. Like, The Walking Dead's always been about surprises and twists and turns and the unexpected. So what a better way to wrap it up than to unexpectedly just be done with it. And I'm not going to lie, I thought that last issue was pretty damn good. Herschel Jr. is a little dick, but other than that, I really like seeing, it was kind of like well, not really. I was about to say it's kind of like a 6 Feet Under ending, but it's not because we don't see how everybody dies. But it is cool because we get to see what everybody's become. You get to see how certain characters are when they grow up or grow old and what the world's like in 20 years. And so it's really, 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 really cool. And I love the way it wrapped up. I love the way, like the last few pages, it wrapped up beautifully. But I just didn't like, knowing like this is the last time I'm going to read The Walking Dead new.
I think eventually there will be a companion series, and I think it'll center around Negan during those years after the, what happened. And
it totally should, man.
I think it will. I think it'll, Negan, before he kind of settles down in that little house, I think he had some adventures.
If there's one character who can carry a spinoff little title, it'd be Negan. And it's funny, isn't it, for the show, because we were just talking about how Negan is one of the best things going in the show right now, but Negan's arrival is what kind of killed the show.
Yeah.
It's funny how things kind of turn, because a lot of people I know said they quit watching after the season 7 premiere. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure you did as well. Like, I didn't spoil it for anybody that I knew, but I would always tell them, like, when they'd be like, who's going to die? I'd be like, I don't know, man. I know who died in the comic, but I don't know if they're going to do it the same way. I would always say, it's going to be brutal, though, man. If they do it like they did in the comic, whoever dies, it's going to be nasty. Like, you knew that. You were prepared for that. But then a show where dead people eat other people, you got people going, I couldn't. It was too grotesque. And it's like, I could understand the brutality of it might have been a bit more to handle. But as far as people were saying things like, no, it was too just graphic, the brains, and it's too much. And I'm like, you remember Noah getting his face ripped off? That was pretty graphic, yet you hung in there. I don't know, man. I just think that we've talked about it before, but Negan's arrival and them dragging All Out War out for 2 seasons is essentially what kind of lost a big portion of the Walking Dead watchers, viewers, and then now Negan's one of the best things on the show.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy the 180 they've pulled, coming out of All Out War. Mm-hmm. It's refreshing for sure, man.
So we got Negan versus Beta. That's got to happen on the finale.
Yes.
Father G's death, and if not, someone's going to die pretty brutally. I can tell you that. Like if they don't kill Father G, but they give his death to someone else, it's going to be rough. Let's see. We're going to see Maggie again. We know that. She gets the letter and learns that pretty much everyone has died since she left. You think this is the ultimate ego boost for her? Like she reads that letter, and of course she looks sad. I must return. But do you think, like in her mind, she's like, damn, man, I go away for a little while and everybody dies?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of true, which I don't know that she could have prevented all this, but I think one thing that would have, if Negan had won the war and the Saviors were still in control, man, I don't know that the Whisperers would have kind of, made it as far as they did.
No.
But who knows? Who knows?
No, that would be a really cool Walking Dead what if to do. What if it was the Whisperers versus the Saviors? Because I definitely think, and I mean, which I don't know, that's, that one thing that really messes people up is the lack of guns in the modern, you don't see a lot of guns on the Walking Dead these days. It's mostly hand-to-hand weapons, and I guess, ammunition's a limited resource and things like that. So they finally kind of started running out of guns or running out of bullets, I should say. Because Father Gabriel pulled those 2 like shotgun shells out of that, like that, like they were gold or something, valuably hidden. So, back in the day of the Saviors where people had guns and stuff, man, I think the Whisperers would have been toast. Because we know Negan's ruthless, man.
Yep. And I wonder if that, if the timeline stayed the same, the Whisperers came at him at that same point in time, maybe the Saviors wouldn't be as well equipped or whatever.
Well, and then you got to think, though, the Whisperers probably needed years to hone their style of living. Had they were going up against a big group like the Saviors out the gate with little experience in being Whisperers, then they might not have been nearly as deadly of an adversary. They needed those years to kind of hone, blending in with the dead and killing people in the way that they do. But
and I'm sure it took Alpha a while to get enough followers to be a formidable enough group.
Do you want to live in the woods like animals? We're gonna poop in ditches. We have latrines. We're not gonna shower, and I will kill you if you don't like anything that I do. Please join the Whisperers. Wouldn't you ever see like an infomercial for that? Hi, I'm Alpha. Are you tired of this post-apocalyptic style of living with leaders and doors and civilization? Come find me in the woods.
Oh, that's going to be a hard no from me.
Yeah, it's a big no for me, dog. I think I'm going to stick with the, the place that has doors and. Yeah. But yeah, that is a really cool thing to ponder, because the thing is too, you got to get Negan's biggest problem is Negan doesn't want to kill groups of people. Negan wants you to follow him. Mm-hmm. So Negan's biggest problem is he'd be out there trying to capture or convert them. You need Negan the way he was at the end of season 8, just ready to kill, and then you would have an interesting fight.
You know, you have to think too, like Negan basically like left those settlements pretty much like defenseless. I mean, they relied on the saviors, but it's not like they were posted up there all the time. So the Whisperers roll up on the hilltop, and doesn't happen to be any saviors around. I mean, they're just like easy pickings, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
So it does make you think, you know. I mean, would Negan eventually like militarize, the people he's been dominating? I don't know. But it's a fun little what if scenario.
Yeah, and I mean I'm interested in, because you got to think with this ending they've got to, if the Whisperer War ends, and I do hope it ends, and I mean that with love. It's been a great ride. I've really enjoyed the whole Whisperer saga. I think it's been fantastic. Let's kill it while it's, just let's let it end with some grace. It's been a great ride. Oh my gosh, Alpha, definitely one of the most memorable Walking Dead villains ever. The actress that played her, Samantha, is it Morrison or Morton?
I'm not sure.
I'm going to Google that because I've gotten that mixed up. I said it right for a while, and then I had this really long stint where I was saying it wrong. Like, whatever her name is, I was saying it wrong repeatedly, and I want to make sure that Samantha Morton. I kept calling her Samantha Morrison. Samantha Morton has done an incredible job as Alpha. I mean, better than expected. I still would like to see an Elseworld Sarah Paulson playing Alpha, but then again, I don't think it would have been anything like Samantha Morton's Alpha. You know what I'm saying? Totally different Alpha. But yeah, man, it's been great, but let's end it. Let's let it end. And with that said, if it does end it, which I think it will, because Beta's on this big suicide. How long can they keep the fight going with Beta just driving a big horde of zombies? Mm-hmm. So if that's going to end, they've got to set up for next season. So what's the setup going to be for next season? You think the episode will end with them all right, so this is kind of comic spoilers, but this is how we make predictions sometimes going forward in the show. So, the Commonwealth is where they're headed, more or less. Do you think it'll end with maybe them arriving at the Commonwealth and maybe imagine a drone or a shot panning where it's going up beyond the gates and it's just going to show an incredible amount of people?
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
They arrive, they meet, Eugene's girl. She takes them to the hilltop or whatnot. And as they arrive, not to the hilltop, sorry, to the Commonwealth. And as they arrive, they're like, welcome to the Commonwealth. And then the gate opens. And then as the episode's ending, the camera pans up and you're realizing that this is the biggest civilization probably left in the world. That's how I could see them setting it up.
Yeah, man, kind of like the end of season 2 where it pans out.
Yes,
you see the prison off in the background. Yeah,
yes,
that'd be pretty cool.
I think that's what I had in my mind, man. That's awesome. That's why we podcast. But yeah, dude, I think that would be awesome. And now I think that we're going to see the Commonwealth be blown away. I think the Whisperer War is going to end. Beta's going to die. I think that what we're going to have, I think that we're going to have Alden and Jesus. All right, comic spoilers again, man. You got to realize that half the predictions we make are based off the comics, so we try not to. But so slight comic spoiler. You got about a minute. I think that because in the comic, Beta falls to. You got time to tune away. To Jesus and Aaron. Yeah. Well, obviously Jesus was killed off, so I think Jesus and Alden are going to be the ones to take out Beta.
Aaron and Alden.
Who did I say?
I think you said Jesus.
Did I say Jesus? I can't keep up with
I know so many characters.
Yes. I think that Aaron and Alden are going to do double team. Yeah. Only thing that sucks, which I really hope they use it, because we've learned that Aaron's learned some martial arts and become quite a little badass. He was doing his very, very interesting training with Jesus, where Jesus would just tackle him off that horse. And, I really think there was some role playing in there that led to some other stuff now in the past. But I mean, Jesus has a badass fight scene with Beta. Who doesn't have a badass fight scene with Beta, right? Negan has a badass fight scene with Beta. But I think that we're going to see Negan and Beta get to brawling. I think that's going to happen. And then I think later in the episode that Alden and Aaron will end up taking him out. So too, yeah. We're going to meet a new character, as far as we know, a new character that's got these little sickle-looking things and a mask. Some people saying it's Morgan's son back from the dead in a manner of speaking, which I'm not going to lie. If Morgan's son just happened to be lost this whole time and he showed up, also a ninja type person wielding a different weapon, I would say that Angela Kang has lost her way to allow something like that. Like, that is just a straight up rip of Morgan, man. Like, if you want to bring back Morgan's son, he could be a badass, but don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not been around his dad. I mean, the odds that he would grow up and be like, for some reason, I feel like the ninja warrior's within me. I want to learn a weapon, but not a stick. And so some people saying it's going to be Connie. Connie's been gone for a while.
Yeah, that could make sense.
Where I'm predicting that Connie will come back.
You think it's going to be Connie?
If she's coming back, I feel like she will now. And I know that she was all filming some other stuff while they were doing this. But, man, like, I don't want Connie to go the way of Heath, man. I like Connie. She brings something different to the show. She's a delight to watch on screen. She's just got good chemistry with the, and it just shows good acting when you don't speak and yet you've got good chemistry with other actors. So I want Connie to come back, and I'm hoping that along with Maggie, we'll see Connie reemerge. Maybe even the sickle wielding ninja person, which I'm not putting my eggs in that basket. I don't think that's Connie, but it could be. But I do want to see Connie come back.
Yeah, I think we'll get her back. Maybe not this season, but we'll see.
I don't know that I'm going to predict. No, yeah, it was. Holy crap! It was during the Whisperer War that Andrea had her death, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, like right at the end of it.
So if they're going to give Carol, wow, I didn't even think about that. So if someone's going to get Carol's death, and this episode is going to wrap up the Whisperer War, it's going to have to happen this episode.
Yeah, I could definitely see Carol going out that way.
Holy crap! Yeah, I'm going to put all right. So I feel like good writing, it would be Carol, but I feel like they'll for some reason make it Rosita. I hope they don't.
Oh, man.
But I feel like Rosita, probably because I think Carol would be much more fitting for that.
Yeah, me too.
Carol gets bit. She's yada, yada, yada. But anyways, and I know I've said no comic spoilers, and I basically spoiled it. So sorry, but at least I tried. But yeah, I could see that. I could see I'm going to predict someone gets Andrea's death. Carol or Rosita, one are going to die. Negan Beta Brawl. I know we're repeating, trying to recap here. Gabriel's death or someone getting Gabriel's death. I mean, just imagine. That'd be an episode people will be talking about forever. I mean, you have several big characters die. We'll see Beta die, I imagine. I don't know, man. Anything we're leaving out that you can think of?
No, man. I think it's going to be epic. I hope it is. I hope they execute it well because it's been a pretty well-rounded season. So hopefully it goes out on a high note.
I think so, man. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are going to be. Is someone going to get Andrea's death? Is Father Gabriel going to get his comic death, or will it be given to someone else? If so, who? Who do you think is going to take out Beta, or do you think Beta won't be taken out? Do you think perhaps they'll let him wander off into the sunset, kind of like the governor, to reemerge one day? Do you think we're going to see the Commonwealth? Blah, blah, blah. What else? Do you think that Maggie's going to get a warm welcome?
No, hard to say.
Do you think that's another thing? How do you think the Whisperer War would have been differently with Maggie still leading the hilltop?
Yeah, that's a what if we should explore.
Absolutely, sure. Absolutely. I like the possibility, and maybe we'll start next week being we have no more Walking Dead. I mean, we're doing this one just to stay in touch with our Walking Dead following because we were like, what do we talk about today? We don't have a new episode. So we were like, we'll just talk about The Walking Dead. But yeah, so that's two what ifs I'd like to explore. Saviors versus the Whisperers. And we'll have to, the cool thing about that is we'll have to paint a scenario. Kind of like, what was that show called? Was it The Ultimate Warrior? Where they would take like, a Roman gladiator versus a mid-century ninja.
I know what show you're talking about. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, we'll basically have to do that. We'll have to come up with a scenario as to why the Saviors and the Whisperers are going at it. But I mean, it'll be cool. We could paint a picture. Perhaps in this scenario, in this universe, the Saviors defeated Rick and group pretty easily. Eugene didn't sabotage them, and I won't go too far into it because that is a great conversation. But basically, the Saviors won. And all these years later, they're now running the world, and they run across the Whisperers. But we'll see. We'll come up with some scenarios. So Walking Dead, what if next Monday? It'll be one of those two, maybe even both. Who knows? But let us know your thoughts Let us know your feelings. And let us know you love us.
Yeah.
If you love us. If you don't love us, then I guess you can't let us know that you love it. If you hate us, you can let us know too. We get plenty of that. Either way, we love you, and we can't wait to see you again. If you only listen to the Walking Dead podcast, and we'll see you next Monday for a Walking Dead What If. The first Walking Dead What If we've had in a very long time.
Yeah. Oh, God, man. It has been a dog's age, hasn't it?
It feels like it.
Yeah.
It depends. How long do dogs generally live?
It's 7 years for every normal year, so I don't know.
Nah. Anyways, I think they disproved that, didn't they? They say that's actually that was like an old, kind of like wives' tale type
like
thing.
smaller dogs have a little bit more longevity. Like bigger dogs, that might be a little more accurate. So
It seems to be that way, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it
varies between dogs and breeds and all that stuff. So.
Well, we'll see you if you're a Walking Dead listener next Monday. If you follow the channel, hey, don't forget we got Weird Wednesday coming up where we'll be discussing something paranormal or conspiracy oriented. Also, don't forget you can check out our Patreon where you'll get a minimum of 2 extra podcasts per week for as little as $1 a month. JP and I have been talking about it, and it's like, some people, and we're not downing anybody, but some people, when you join the Patreon, even if it's just $1, you get a shout out maybe, but you really have to kind of go up in tiers. But like, we love you so much, even just $1 a month gets you extra podcasts. So if you enjoyed this and you want more, check out our Patreon.
You get a lot of bang for your buck. I jumped onto a Patreon of one of my favorite YouTubers. Bottom tier. I ain't rich over here. $2 a month. Nothing. No extra content. No nothing, man. I was very disheartened.
Yeah. So for as little as $1 a month, and we definitely want to start doing tier things in the sense of, because the people that are donating a lot, we definitely want to do something, but we'll never take away our bonus podcast from you. So, no matter what, even if we do start adding a third or something for higher tiers, at $1 a month, you get 8 extra podcasts a month. So it's really not a bad deal. $1 for 8 podcasts. So consider checking that out. And even if you don't, we still love you and wish nothing but the best for you.
Yeah, we sure enough do.
And we'll see you soon. I'm Justin.
I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead, running out of Walking Dead things to talk about.